Hello, and welcome to my second draft player analysis, prediction, whatever you want to call it. And today, we'll be doing Derrick Henry. Excuse me. Derrick Henry, 6'3", 247. Ugh. Some collegiate accolades. SEC Offensive Player of the Year. All SEC, unanimous All-American. Walter Camp, Doak Walker, Maxwell, and Heisman Award winner, all 2015. Career stats: 3,600 rushing yards, 42 touchdowns. Receiving: 16 catches, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns. His NFL Combine stats: 40, 4.54, vert, 37 inches. Broad jump, 10 feet, 10 inches. Bench press, 22 reps. Derrick Henry is maybe the best big back to come out of college football in a long time. The way I did his ratings was based on his pros and cons, which I'll get into when I start playing with him, and his overall stuff. For a big power guy, 83 speed is pretty good. 79, I think, is where he'll end up around. Sorry about that. Strength, 22 bench presses for a running back is very impressive.
The site for today's matchup. Well, Phil,
hello, and welcome back to my next, I guess, draft prediction video. This is only the second one. I will definitely be doing more of these. And as you saw from the intro, we are doing Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is very good. He is a Heisman winner. He is the most recent Heisman winner. He is a big power back. He is 6'3", and he runs a 4.5 40, which is extremely good for a man of his size. There aren't many guys who are 6'3", 247 pounds that can run a 40-yard dash that quick. So, I personally really like Derrick Henry. He's good. He's big. He's a bruiser, and he can work well in a lot of different schemes. As you can see, that's the kind of things he could do. He's big. He's powerful. He could shed guys who are smaller than him, like safeties and corners. He is a nightmare for safeties and corners to try and tackle because he is so big and strong. He could have easily been a top draft pick if this were a different kind of NFL where the pass game isn't prioritized as much as it is. So, I mean, this guy would be a number one pick like 15 years ago. About 15 years ago. Maybe 20. Let's go with 20. About 20 years ago, this guy would have been the number one pick. Big guy who can play every single snap in the game. And, who can pretty much stay on the field for almost every single snap. So, excuse me. I have a couple pros and cons on what I believe with Derrick Henry. Alright, so I'll start with my pros. He is a big, violent runner, but he makes it seem effortless. Meaning, big guys are obviously going to want to run through people. They're going to want to go through a guy not around him. They're not guys who are 5'10", who are going to make you miss. They're going to run through you. Derrick Henry is that kind of guy, but it doesn't seem like he's trying to run through you. He makes it seem very effortless when he's running, a play. he makes it seem like he's not trying to run you over when he is. So, I mean, he's expending less energy and, you know, all that fun stuff. I can go on for about a minute and a half about that. But I'll leave it at that. Surprising speed for a man of 6'3". His straight line speed is extremely impressive for a guy who is 247 pounds, 6'3". That's incredible. That's very good straight line speed. You wouldn't expect it watching him play. You would expect him to be in the 4'7", 4'8" range, you know, if you just heard what he is. But he is extremely athletic for what he is. He is, again, he's extremely athletic for being 6'3", and he has extremely good stamina. He can stay on the field for, I'd say, about 80% of your offensive snaps in a game, which is impressive, again, for a man of his size and weight. You know, most big backs, I'm trying to think of someone for, you know, as a good example. LeGarrette Blount. LeGarrette Blount's not going to be an every down back. He isn't. Because LeGarrette Blount is big, he's powerful, but he's not, his stamina isn't as good as someone like Derrick Henry. So, I think that he has a lot of good things going for him. I just did a quick, you know, and I have 3 quick cons. Takes time to build his speed, meaning he has the 4.5 speed, but he needs time to build it. He's not his acceleration and agility isn't great. You know, he's not very quick. So, he's not quick, he's not very, he's athletic for his size, but he's not as athletic as, you know, Ezekiel Elliott. And that's expected of a guy of his size. But he doesn't have, you know, great acceleration. His speed isn't great building up. You know, he's not going to be running 4.5 in his first 3 steps. He's going to take about 5, 6, 7 yards to get to that speed. Which, I mean, once he builds up his speed, he is good. It's just that if he has enough time to build that speed. Slow feet is my next con. His footwork is good, don't get me wrong. It's just that when you watch him like run through a hole or something or try and make a man miss, he's not gonna impress you with how quick he cuts and whatnot. He has good cuts and whatnot, it's just they're not very quick, and he has slow feet. That's the best way I can describe it. And probably my biggest issue with Derrick Henry, he cannot catch a football. I mean, he just isn't very good at catching. And I'll just leave it at that, really. He just isn't a very good catcher. So, I think that's the biggest issue, and that's the biggest thing holding him back. And that's my real... I'm just going to sim the punt. I don't really care enough about it. So, his footwork is slow when he's trying to make cuts and make guys miss. His acceleration isn't very good. You know, his acceleration is average at best. And he has very bad hands. And my NFL comparison would have been Brandon Jacobs. Brandon Jacobs was cut from the same cloth as him. He's big guy, big powerful guy. And, you know, he had pretty solid speed for a man of his size. And Brandon Jacobs was a giant for quite a few years. I can't 100% remember how long, but he was on the Giants for a few years. I think he won a Super Bowl with them in 07. Then he went to San Fran to end his career. Oh, he was always solid. He was their big guy. He was their change of pace kind of guy when they needed that guy. So, when they needed a guy to change, from a speed guy to a guy who's going to bruise and just really hit you hard. So, that's like the best comparison I can get. Brandon Jacobs. So, now my draft predictions. I have him rated as a late first rounder to mid second rounder as of right now. And again, this is based off of the state of the NFL. It's not a league that prioritizes running backs like Henry to the greatest extent. He isn't gonna be a guy that teams actively search out to be their changing, their season changing guy. There are teams like there are a lot of teams that need running backs, like really good running backs who can be the guy for years to come. It's just a lot of teams don't prioritize that anymore. So, I expect to see maybe one running back go in the first round this season, and that is Ezekiel Elliott, and you can hear my thoughts on him in my previous video. So I have 8 teams of interest for Derrick Henry. I have 2 teams that could potentially give him first-round grades and take a shot at him. The first one being Houston. If Houston really wants a guy to come in and replace, I say that with air quotes, Arian Foster, because I still think they're committed to him, which is dumb because he's not that good. If they're still committed to Arian Foster, Derrick Henry could come in and still kind of be a change of pace guy. Meaning, like, Arian Foster's always been, in my mind, a bit of a speed guy. He's always been a speed rusher. Or a speed runner, He's had good footwork, and it's just he can't stay healthy. And that's the biggest issue with him. But Houston can take Derrick Henry, and he could take over his spot, to be honest, and really, truly be a guy that they can rely on. Henry, I don't think ever missed a game at Alabama. What? I don't care, NVIDIA GeForce. Stop beeping, computer. So, I just lost my train of thought from that. God damn it. Houston can use him as their guy for the future. And I think that he could be that guy. He has great stamina, so he's going to be able to, he's going to be there, and he's going to be pounding the ball out for the whole game. They'll maybe take him off the field a few times and bring in a guy who can actually catch the ball consistently. So, Houston's my first team. Next is Carolina. If Carolina really wants to prioritize a guy that could... Dude, oh my God, the Giants' O-line sucks so much ass. Whatever. So, Carolina could prioritize him. Jonathan Stewart's getting kind of old. I think he's entering his 7th season or something. So he's getting up there in years. So he could come in and pretty much be a better Jonathan Stewart in my mind. Jon Stewart, I always thought, was a speedy guy who can show off his power when he needs to. Oh. Oh, how? Oh. Oh, don't do that to me, Madden. I can't believe that wasn't a safety. Oh, man. Carolina could prioritize this guy. He could share snaps with Jonathan Stewart, which, I mean, that almost hurt them a lot. At points, they needed a running back who they could rely on. Cameron Artis-Payne wasn't that guy. And since they lost D'Angelo Williams in free agency, they never really had that guy once again. So I feel like they can look to a guy who could help them greatly and, you know, really make plays with them. Yeah, he's a playmaker. He's shown his speed in college a bunch of times. He's shown that he is a good back. It's just the things that he doesn't do well are really, you know, easy to notice. So Carolina could definitely take a shot on him. Up next, I have Tennessee at the top of the second round. Tennessee could go and find a guy who could be a great complement to Marcus Mariota. And the only reason why they would maybe want to take a shot on him is if they really don't believe his hands are as good as they could be. So maybe they could try and you know, develop his hands, make him a better receiver. And, you know, him and Marcus Mariota could be the future of the Tennessee Titans. Those two could be great playmakers. They could really help each other out. So I have Tennessee at the top, and then I have Dallas in the second round also. Dallas can go with a big bruising back, again, who can do great things behind the Cowboys' offensive line. Anyone who is even a good runner can do amazing things behind the Cowboys' offensive line. Darren McFadden had a pretty solid season behind that offensive line. Oh, my goodness. My nose is so stuffy. So, next I had the Giants at the top of the second. Obviously, I truly think the Giants might take a shot at him. They've had some running back issues for a while now. Obviously, they could prioritize defensive players, you know, some linebackers, some safety. But I really think that they can go and get their bell cow back, that guy who can be there for the foreseeable future and really help them start contending again on offense. They have it. They have the pass catchers. Beckham Jr., Victor Cruz, and Ruben Randall. Those guys can be three really good, really different receivers. You know, Ruben Randall's a bigger guy. I'm pretty sure he's 6'2"-ish. Ruben Randall could be a red zone threat. Victor Cruz can stretch the defense. You know, he has really good speed and could really make a team, you know, regret not covering him and, you know, not covering him as tightly as they're covering, say, Odell Beckham, who can really be a one-man wrecking crew. The Giants won some games last season just because Odell Beckham is very athletic and very good at what he does. And all they need is a running back who could take the pressure off Eli Manning. And I think the Giants could definitely prioritize that. If he was there, I think they'd take a shot at him. Up next, I have Detroit. They just cut Joyke Bell. I know Theo Riddick might be their guy, but they can definitely bring in a young guy who could be, again, a bell cow guy. They have the offense. I mean, if Calvin Johnson comes back, they have great pass catchers. Golden Tate and him are two really good pass catchers. It's just if they could stay consistent, and if the offensive line can stay consistent, and if the defense can even play competently, that is a contending football team. They are a really good team. I think Detroit's been a good team for the past couple of years. It's just their defense hasn't been able to step up for them at points. Next, the Colts. The Colts can definitely make a play at him if they really think that they could. I would throw a challenge flag if I were the coach, but less than 2 minutes, so I'm pretty sure I can't. Yeah. Next is Indianapolis. They obviously need an offensive line when you have one of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL starting. If you can't keep Andy Luck healthy, then that team can't succeed, and it never will. So the Colts can definitely, if they want, they can bring in their running back that they've missed for quite a little while. They've never been consistent at running back, and he's basically a Frank Gore 2.0 at this point. Frank Gore was always a big guy who can get it done. He's pretty quick. He's always been pretty solid. Derrick Henry could be Frank Gore with more power, more size. So if they really need to, they could make him their pick, and they could solidify running back for the future. And the last team I have is the Jets. The Jets, they have Chris Ivory, and but it's more or less if they don't believe Chris Ivory could be as good as he was last season for much longer. Again, big power backs like that typically don't have very long careers. No, they're usually out of the league in about 7-8 seasons. Maybe a little bit, more depending on who it is. Chris Ivory could be one of those guys. He's hitting the age where power backs start to decline. Pure power backs. So the Jets can definitely prioritize getting their guy for the future. But I doubt it. Again, if they don't get Zeke Elliott in the first round, then they're not looking for a running back. So that's my thought. I believe he will go pick, I believe it's 39, because the Patriots don't have a first-round draft pick. So it'll be number 49, and the New York Giants will make him their selection and solidify that offense for until pretty much Eli retires. They can stay solid and relevant until the day that Eli hangs up his cleats. And that's why I think Derrick Henry will be a New York Giant next season. So, just to recap, I really like Derrick Henry. I think that he can really succeed in a lot of different, offenses. He can be a guy that could step in and be a guy who plays extremely well pretty much every single snap of the game. So, again, I like Derrick Henry. He's really good. And be on the lookout tomorrow for, drum roll please, I doubt you can hear that, but still, Jared Goff, my number one quarterback in this year's draft. And I'll give you my rankings, and I'll go in order for the next couple. I feel like there's only two really good running backs worth taking with a high draft pick this year, and that's why I'm only doing these two, unless there's someone else that catches my eye. I'm going to go look through a lot of workouts today on NFL.com, ESPN. I'm just going to go look through player workouts and see if anyone catches my eye that I might want to, look into more and see if they could potentially, vault themselves into a middle round, late round pick. But that's the video for today. Like, comment, subscribe if you like it. This is J-Wax signing off.